What's up, everybody? So, lately I've been getting a couple questions from people asking how they can outsource their t shirt designs. And so, I'm going to walk you through my process. So, hopefully, you'll be able to outsource your designs as well. And instead of designing t shirts, you can sit on the beach and sip margaritas, right? That's what we all want to do. So, for starters, we're going to go to upwork.com and we're going to post a job. So here's an example of a job description, kind of loosely based on my own, that you can use for your own job posting. So basically, I just say looking for a graphic designer to produce hundreds, potentially thousands. Most of them consist blah blah blah. To start, I will give you the niche and topic. One designer needed at $5 per design and less. So yeah, I know some people have taken this to a little more extreme, maybe starting at $3 and going all the way down to $1.50 or $1. So it all depends on whatever you feel comfortable with. For me, I'm fine with this. I guess it's just a couple extra dollars. So, if I can provide my designer with a steak and tilapia dinner occasionally, I'm okay with it. But here is the basic advertisement. I create for a designer at $5 per design and less. So $2 three design for bulk orders, which based on your negotiation could be bulk orders could equal 50 shirts or they could equal 100 shirts, but that's the basic idea. Initially, I want to maybe test them out with 3 to 5 t-shirt designs to see how well they follow instructions and how well their design is to even begin with. And then from there, I'll go for a bulk order, which for me is usually $1.50 to $3 a design. The $5 per design is essentially to get more applicants. So starting, I'll give you a small amount of t-shirt designs. You can gradually increase. Send me some examples. And this is something I really outline. Copyright infringing designs, images, and unlicensed fonts will not be accepted. So that's pretty much it. So I would usually reuse a previous job, but for now I'm just going to walk you through how I do it. So for design, just put it in graphic design. Just something like that, and maybe I'll just copy and paste this. Ongoing, other t-shirt designer. Print. I have specs. I hire one freelancer, and it depends. If you're trying to create an empire, maybe you need more than one. With applicants, so maybe Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, so graphic design, maybe logo design, t-shirt design, and the freelancer should know Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and I think that's all. I guess that's all I can enter. So pay a fixed price. Maybe we'll go for intermediate. Budget. For starters, I kind of just want to let them know that it's a bigger project, so it doesn't really matter what you put here. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you put here, but I know freelancers are attracted to longer projects and bigger ones, so that's probably better. Do you have any freelancers? No. Anyone can find and apply. Preferred qualifications. Include rising talent, 90%. Freelancer, independent. Hours billed. I do any amount just because a lot of designers work per project, and I don't think they have hours registered for those. So I just don't want to leave anybody out there. Any location, I think any is good for here. English, I think maybe you got to be conversational. Because even if you put conversational, people who can barely speak English will still apply, so it doesn't matter all that much. Add a few questions for this one. I I usually don't ask too many questions. Create my own. This is one I like to ask. What kind of t-shirt design do you have the most experience with? To know if they only have experience with text design or graphics, something like that. And I know most people probably will require a cover letter, but for me, I usually do it just based on their designs that they send me. Because, I mean, to be honest, I don't even really, I mean, I can't really tell that much from a person's design capabilities by requiring a cover letter because they could be working for 5, 10 years and still be pretty bad, to be honest. But I definitely do this when I'm hiring writers or something like that because you can tell within the first couple sentences if they're just not a good writer. So I'm gonna post it, and I'm not actually hiring a designer. I'm just gonna give you an example of what kind of freelancers to look for. Usually, if they're in the $40, $25 range, it's not what I'm looking for, but maybe something like this guy, $10 an hour, he'll do it. Maybe 770. I think they would be interested as well, 15. Usually if they're from Eastern Europe or Asia. And actually, I think even once you get to $20 an hour or even 30 sometimes, they'll still apply because their posted hourly rate is usually they don't work for this, but it's kind of, if you do hire this guy at $50 an hour, then you're definitely going to make his day. But more often than not, that some of these people probably work for half of what their posted rate is. So I would just invite probably most of these guys. I think you can do it like automatically. But you're also going to get a lot of organic proposals as well. And actually, there's one more thing that I forgot to add. Within the job posting, you want to add a couple links of t-shirt designs that you want them to be able to design at the level of. So maybe write something like, I am looking for t-shirt designs of this quality, and then save a couple pictures from Teespring or Amazon. I usually like to go to Teespring because it's usually pretty good quality. Let's see. In the spirit of creating engineer t-shirts like my last video, I'm going to pick up a couple that aren't extremely complicated, but good enough that it filters out the bad designers. So maybe that one looks pretty good too. So this is a simpler design, but it has some graphics. And overall, although it's a simple design, it's visually pleasant. And that's kind of what we want our designers to be able to do. Create something that actually looks good. A lot of people call themselves designers, but once you see what they're actually putting out there, it's just, who's gonna buy it, Anyways, yeah, I would save this, just save image as maybe Teespring 1. And this one, it's a little more complicated, but we can try for that level because a lot of these graphics actually are public domain. This one looks pretty good too. These are just a few examples of what we should be looking for. Whatever you do, just make sure that you're not requesting their designs look like this, just text only, because this is really simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or an engineer to design something of that caliber. Make sure that there's at least some kind of a graphic in there, because this is how we're going to make our t-shirts stand out a little bit. So make sure you add that into the job posting, and then we're going to walk through the interview process and how I deal with that. Okay, so here we are. I've gotten 35 applicants for this job. This is for a previous job posting. And we're going to check out if there's any kind of red flags. So one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is he has no questions. So although I took out the cover letter requirement, he didn't even put any effort to ask any questions about the job description. And it only takes about 2 minutes to come up with one question. So t-shirts with graffiti fonts. Drawing about 9 years. You got a whole bunch of 5 stars. And some of this stuff looks good too. Look at that. But at the same time, although he's good with graffiti art, that's not necessarily legible in the Amazon store. So we're gonna check out some of his work. This is, you put your best foot forward, you know. And some of this isn't too bad, but right off the bat, I can tell. This, for example, it doesn't look like it's centered correctly. This is kind of a amateurish font choice. And I'm not saying this just to sound kind of, ooh, you know. But at the same time, there is a difference between an amateur on the verge of being professional. And at this price rate, it's definitely hard to find some good stuff. Like, this is some nice typography right here. But at the same time, that's, you know, we got a 50-50 right here. So I might consider him. So let's see. Him. Will you be supplying the, see, okay, he's pretty intrigued. So, let's see, they're mainly maps. I have other files. So right here we have some maps. And I don't know what to do with that. Unless I'm in the cartography niche. I think I might have to skip this one. So we'll go to the next one. And you can also see some interesting things. For this job posting, it was actually $1,000. But sometimes people will request a lot less, $722. Maybe $944, $800, something like that. And for me, that's actually kind of a red flag, because if you say $5 per design, which is, let's be honest, it's dirt cheap, and they're saying give me even less, then they're definitely undervaluing their work. Especially if this is it's an international website, right? They're competing against people who charge $10, $20, $100 for designs. So that's kind of a red flag. Like, why would you charge so little? Let's see why. Whoa, what a crazy design. No, but here we go. So these are all just basic text. This is, you know, these aren't exactly going to win any art awards, let's be honest. And I don't really think they would sell that well. You might get some sales occasionally. But he's using some pretty generic fonts, and this sounds a little hipster of me, but he's using sans serif fonts with serif fonts, and he just put a picture. I mean, it's funny, right? But he just put a picture on the shirt. So yeah, I'd have to skip out on that one. Most of these are going to be pretty hard to find some good quality, but every once in a while you get some good ones. And sometimes, and I'm going to be honest, especially when you're charging this low, when you have people from the United States, I've had, at least for this job posting, they usually put out some really good work and awesome design, but I had 2 people for this job posting, well, 3 actually, from the United States who ended up just not replying to messages. So take that into consideration as well, because $5 a design, it's not gonna, I mean, if you're pumping out a ton of them in the US and you have a system down to really nail it, then you can live off that. But for the most part, if you're a professional, then that's not going to get you very far in New York. There's another one. So, okay, here's one from Sri Lanka. And she has some really good typography here, some nice designs. Actually, why didn't I hire her? So this one, I mean these designs looked good. So what happened? So here's, okay, this looks kind of rough. It's pessimist, optimist, and this. And look, this one word is worn, while the rest of it isn't. There's about 20 different fonts in there. So that, I mean, that's going to be hard. Even if you imagine it in Amazon, that's the size. So you can't read half of it. But from a distance, it doesn't look too bad. This one is a little hard to read, so I probably wouldn't go with her either. But let's try one more, just for this video. So he has some good drawings. They don't necessarily show that he can create good t-shirts. There's kind of a difference between a good illustrator and a good t-shirt designer. But I would definitely give this guy a chance, I think. Just because it looks like he understands the basics of design. Mostly what I look for is an understanding of the fundamentals. Okay, now that we have picked a couple people to interview, we're going to bring them onto Skype. And it's always good to get their Skype name, even if this, for example, this is just a text interview. I just interviewed him over IM, but it's good anyways because Upwork isn't exactly in the best financial conditions right now. So just in case anything ever happens to the platform or whatever platform you may be using, at least you have their contact information to continue working with them, even if the platform goes kaput. So here's an interview with someone that's still working for me. And I think a lot of people would say to have like an extensive interview process. And I usually do for like my VAs, and I'll probably talk to them over the phone as well or over a Skype voice call, just to make sure that their English is actually good enough to understand me, to understand my instructions. But for the most part, I could tell in the couple conversations that I had with this guy that he knew what I was looking for in designs and everything. So this was basically just explaining what I'm looking for. And I said, hi, don't have to discuss too long. I'm going to make it clear. And I told him to pull up a specific website with a bunch of different designs. And he pulled it up, and I said, if you look at that website, there's a lot of different categories. What I'm looking for is bulk amounts of those designs are of similar or better quality. Please use them for inspiration, but do not copy pixel for pixel. Try to refrain from. It's pretty much obvious stuff. If you had a project similar to this, blah, blah, blah. We would start off with 5 designs. And I always request to have them in the original source file as well, the PSD, just because it's usually a lot easier to modify, especially if they don't save the text files as flat layers. Because, say, for example, if he designs me a birthday shirt and it says 1950, then I could just take it down the line if I want to turn it into 1970 or 2000, something like that. So I just say, I'll give him the design specs, and I set a standard really high up front, knowing that they can't make it. If they do, then that's incredible. This guy is actually pretty fast, even when I give him like 5 days or a week. So I just say, can you create them in 2 days? Make it work on a weekend. Sounds good. I'll send the category and a link. And then I ask him about the bulk discounts. 3 for design if I order 100. I probably could have got a lot better deal than this. It all depends on what your budget is and how low you want to go. Some people, yeah, like I said, they go down to $1.50, $1. I just stick to 3. I think it's fair. And then I tell him, if you're unsure about the copyright on a particular quote, double check. But for starters, I actually give him different instructions, which I'll show you in a second. Do not use copyright or trademarked images. And I also try to send them a couple references as well to use some public domain images. One of my favorite websites to use free public domain clip art is openclipart.org. So I actually use this for a lot of my t-shirts. And just send this website and maybe a couple more if you know of them over to your designer so that they don't have to resort to sketchier techniques. There we go. There's a license down here, but you can use all these images for commercial use, but for unlimited commercial use. So I want to make sure that my designers know that there are resources out here so they don't have to do borderline sketchy image stealing and stuff like that. So I just tell them I'll send it over on Upwork. Great, I'll wait the proposal and category. We'll have the designs on Monday. Sounds good, thank you. Thanks to you, John. Okay, so that was it. So basically, this was the interview for my designer who's been working for me for a couple months now. So it can be that simple. I mean, for t-shirt designs, at least with what I've done with merch so far, it's been a pretty straightforward process. I haven't really required an extensive interview process, but I mean, that's good just to know your team and know what their personal goals are. But a lot of people, you know, they just want to do what they love and just want to make some money doing it. So one more thing I want to show you is what kind of t-shirt designs I'll show my main designer. So I'll usually come up with the category, and if I don't have time to do extensive research, kind of like I've showed you in my previous videos, then I'll think of something that's already proven, or maybe a holiday coming up. Say, for example, I'm going to go, let's see, what is a holiday coming up? Well, we'll just go with the most recent one, which was July 4th, right? So July 4th t-shirts. So maybe I'll get something similar to that. What kind of ones that look good? And this is the most loosest kind of research that I'll do. Sometimes if I have the time, I'll search a little harder to find some winning t-shirts. But if I'm paying $1.50, $3, if even $5, and I sell one t-shirt, like, it's profitable now, you know? So my basic idea is I know 90% of them will sell more than one t-shirt. So whenever I just kind of do this approach, just picking a category, I try to pick popular shirts, maybe on Google or Teespring, even Amazon or eBay, that are already on different platforms and are proven to be sellers. Because although they may not be the top seller in the entire world, they might still sell 5 t-shirts, 10 t-shirts. And if I could just pump those bad boys out, then it becomes very profitable very quickly. Maybe I'll go to Redbubble too, because some of these t-shirt concepts might be popular on these other platforms, but they just haven't made it to Amazon yet. So I might do something like July 4th, AmeriExit, the original Brexit. So that can be used on July 4th, but also maybe just general Patriot t-shirt as well. So I don't want to do something as complicated as that because I know my designer probably wouldn't do it, but if he did, it probably would be kind of low quality. This one looks pretty good too. So basically I would click save as, let's see, I don't know if I can. Save the picture, save as, or else I'll just, on my Mac, I'll do Command-Shift-4 and just grab a screenshot really quick. And then with my designer, usually I'll just order like 10 t-shirts at a time, and I'll send over 10 pictures of t-shirts that I've already scoped out that I want him to design something similar to. And sometimes when I have the time to do it, I'll tell him, okay, for the AmeriExit t-shirt, I want AmeriExit, the classic Brexit, and then July 4th, maybe put 1776 down here. Maybe just to switch it up a little bit so it's not a complete carbon copy. But I do that with basic quotes as well. So it's time to get red, white, and wasted, something like that, instead of just copying off this. Because to be honest, I don't want to have to do the copyright search on all of them. And if I could just think of something kind of clever off the top of my head, then I'll do that. You could do the same thing here. Time to get star spangled wasted. So yeah, I'll just send those 10 screenshots over to my designer, and he usually gets back to me within a few days with a complete design, and they usually look pretty awesome. So I hope this video helped you, and if it did, throw me a thumbs up, maybe comment, and if it didn't, you can comment too. Maybe say, how could I improve the next one, or what you didn't like about it. But if you did like it, or if you didn't like it, you should still subscribe. All right, take it easy.